Have you ever imagined what it would be like to witness the largest shipment of live cattle ever carried out in the world? Well, something of that magnitude recently happened in Brazil, and for the very first time here on this international channel, we're bringing you the full story. This was not just a massive logistical operation involving tens of thousands of animals. It also stirred up a wave of controversy. Questions about animal welfare, environmental risks, and ethical practices came right alongside the headlines. Today, we're going to explore everything: how such an enormous operation is planned and executed, what makes it possible, and why so many people are still debating whether it should even happen in the first place. What are the stakes? Who wins, who loses, and at what cost? To better understand the scale of it all, let's take a step back. Some time ago, Brazil already amazed the world with what was then considered the largest live cattle shipment ever recorded. More than 27,000 cattle were loaded at once onto a vessel at the Port of Santos, in the state of São Paulo. The cattle came from several farms in the countryside, from cities like Altonópolis and Sabino, and they had to travel long distances, up to 500 kilometers, by truck just to reach the port. The entire operation lasted about 5 days. Every hour, 3 trucks arrived, each carrying around 90 head of cattle. Once there, everything followed a precise and highly coordinated plan. The animals were unloaded, guided through corridors, lifted by special platforms, and then carefully boarded onto a giant ship known as the Nelore. This ship was like a floating skyscraper. With 12 floors and a crew of 80 people, including veterinarians and cattle handlers, it was prepared for a long voyage. The journey from Brazil to Turkey took about 15 days. On board, the cattle consumed over 60 tons of feed, all loaded back in Santos before departure. The Nelore is one of the largest ships in the world specifically used for transporting live animals. It was originally built in 1993 for general cargo, but later converted into a livestock vessel. It measures 201 meters long and 32 meters wide, a real colossus of the seas. Once in Turkey, the cattle were sent to various farms for fattening, breeding, or direct slaughter, depending on the buyer's needs. This shipment made headlines all over the globe, both for its scale and for the debates it reignited around the ethics of transporting live animals overseas. You might think that such a huge operation would be hard to top, but not long afterward, Brazil did it again, and even bigger this time. Around 30,000 live cattle were loaded onto a single ship in one go. This time, the ship was the Mawashi Express, another giant designed for transporting livestock. It docked in Vila do Conde, located in Barcarena, in the state of Pará. The Mawashi Express is a vessel operated by a Jordanian company, although it sails under the Panamanian flag. Built in 1973 and later modified in 1982 for carrying animals, it has a massive capacity, more than 46,000 tons, and space for over 30,000 head of cattle. And it's no stranger to Brazilian ports. It has made this journey more than once. Again, the boarding operation lasted about 5 days. But before the animals could set foot on the ship, they went through a critical stage at the ZP's, pre-embarkation establishments. At these CPs, the animals are put into quarantine to ensure they're in perfect health before being cleared for international travel. It's a tightly monitored phase, involving daily inspections, regular feeding, and strict oversight from veterinary authorities. Every detail is checked: behavior, signs of illness, physical condition. Only after meeting all health and welfare standards are the cattle finally allowed to board the ship. Once aboard, the ship must provide proper living conditions. International animal welfare guidelines demand adequate space, food, water, and ventilation during the voyage. There must be hospital pens for sick animals, non-slip flooring to prevent injuries, and zero tolerance for any sharp or dangerous structures that could cause harm. Ships are also required to have veterinary supplies on board and a contingency plan in case of disease outbreaks. Despite all these protocols, the live cattle trade remains controversial. Organizations that advocate for animal rights say that no matter how well the process is planned, suffering is almost inevitable. That's because animals are confined for extended periods, sometimes in outdated ships not originally built for livestock transport. These vessels often expose the animals to harsh weather, extreme heat, cold winds, heavy rain, with little protection. Inside, the space is very limited. On average, each animal gets about 1.55 square meters, roughly the size of a door. That's not enough for a large animal to move comfortably, lie down cleanly, or avoid physical stress. And the problem starts even before they reach the ship. The land journey from farms to the port is long and often exhausting. The cattle are packed tightly into trucks and travel on roads that aren't always in good condition. In some regions, they even cross rivers on ferries, further increasing the duration and stress of the trip. During this time, they may spend several hours without access to food or water, increasing fatigue and vulnerability. Sadly, accidents do happen. One of the worst cases occurred in 2012 when the ventilation system failed on the Gracia del Mar ship, killing more than half of the 5,200 cattle on board due to suffocation. They were traveling from Brazil to Egypt. In 2015, another tragedy occurred when the Lebanese ship MV Rydar capsized at the dock in Vila do Conde. About 5,000 animals were lost, and the incident caused a serious environmental disaster due to oil spills and thousands of carcasses contaminating the river. These events triggered massive backlash from both the public and animal welfare groups. Critics argue that this industry, despite being highly profitable, is outdated and unnecessarily cruel. They believe that animals should be slaughtered in the country of origin, where regulations are clearer and oversight is more consistent, and that only frozen meat should be exported. On the other hand, many farmers and livestock exporters argue that the live cattle trade is vital to their economy. It creates jobs, supports rural communities, and opens up valuable markets for Brazilian agriculture. Some countries prefer live animals for religious or cultural reasons and are willing to pay a premium for them. For Brazil, this represents a golden business opportunity, especially in regions where domestic demand is low and international prices are attractive. The government continues to regulate and authorize these shipments, balancing economic benefits with growing international scrutiny. And with each major operation, Brazil strengthens its presence as one of the largest players in the global livestock trade. Still, the question remains, what is the true cost of this business? Should economic growth come at the expense of animal suffering? Is there a better way to feed the world that doesn't rely on live transport? These are complex issues, and the answers aren't easy. But we want to know your opinion. Do you believe the live cattle export industry should be banned? Or do you think it should continue but with even stricter rules? Let us know in the comments. We really want to hear your thoughts. If you made it this far into the video, it's because you care about the topic. So please leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Your support helps us bring more important stories from the rural world to screens around the globe. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.